Recording now.
Okay.
I'd like to call to order the Housing Commission meeting for the month of November. It's Thursday, November 20th. It's 9:02 a.m. And I'd like to start with roll call.
Commissioner Pelton.
Here.
Commissioner Mychak. Absent. Commissioner Goodman. Absent. Commissioner Szymanski.
Present.
President Fosdick.
Here. Amendments to the agenda.
We don't have
I haven't.
Okay. Any public comment on agenda-related items? Nope.
one public.
Okay, consent agenda, approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes for October 23rd, 2025, approval of bills and disbursements for October, and the financial reports for September of 2025. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Old business. CTHV shoreline improvements update.
So I do have to have a report to the Manistee Community Foundation by November 30th, which I would say we're almost nearing the final report. Spicer Group was going to work on getting us some prospective possible grant donors that we could reach out to. So I believe we're at the final stages of the design, and now we can actually start pursuing funds.
Okay, have we decided that this is what it's gonna be or what we would want?
At the last meeting, we did adopt the design.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
Charter Spectrum Bulk Agreement, survey results.
We did not have a good turnout. Less than 30% of the residents responded to the survey.
I'm starting to come to the conclusion that maybe we should do it if the residents aren't up on getting their internet and cable TV costs cut. Why should we drag them to the table on it? I guess is my feeling. Though we have seen some extremely low rates.
Yeah, what, I know on the survey, it doesn't say why they say not a good choice or no interest. It's too bad that so few responded. So, I don't know, it seems like we're doing them a huge service, but if they don't want it,
Yeah.
what can we do?
I mean, we really take all the risk,
Yeah,
not the consumer.
And it appears that the people that answered this survey don't want it. The ones that do want it fail to even send a survey back. That's my feeling.
I think one of the other issues I always come back to is there's a bulk rate that's got to be spread to the users. So when the users change up or down, the rates have to change up or down, and it's a great value to the residents, but it's also a little bit of a burden on the commission too, to constantly figure out if we're going to be able to break even, and you have to be able to break even.
yeah.
So, my feeling at this point in time is we give no one an exclusivity to our residents, that we just continue on the way it has been. I don't know if we have to have a motion for that.
No.
Okay.
We can
Add all the time you
revisit
spent
it.
on it, Lori.
you know,
Yeah, well, right, and once we get down farther on the agenda and talk about the proposal from Lakeshore Fiber, I mean, who knows, maybe that would be a viable option.
Well, and I would love to have a gigabyte of download speed and a gigabyte of upload speed for $30 a month. A gigabyte, that's 1,000 megabytes. I mean, your computer would change in a blink of an eye. I mean, at my place, you hit go to and you know, you can probably go out and go to the bathroom or grab a cup of coffee or whatever. We don't even have charter internet out there. It's just, and they came back at, you know, a gig up and a gig down for $30 a month. They were gonna cover our office and the community rooms for free. And it was fiber optic lines to the apartment.
Yes, that is next on the agenda if you do want to move to that, President.
Yeah, we can, because basically I thought that they had walked away from it and they come back and said, no, we're definitely interested in Manistee, but
Are they here right now?
No. So
they're
Steve,
not here.
so, it's my understanding, would we be their first customer then?
we would be in Manistee, yes. They're just moving out of Alpena. They just overlaid Alpena. They're coming into the suburbs of Traverse City, Interlochen, that area now. And Mike, because I know Mike and Jim Selby, who own this company, and they thought as long as we're in the area, we can pop down to Manistee and run lines there too. And they still might for the general populace, but, you know, this was we'll run you fiber optic for $30 a month.
And does that get them just internet, or does it get them
Yes.
just internet?
Just internet.
They could do streaming, and then could someone get their own cable account on the side?
Yep,
Okay.
because the cable lines will still be intact.
So, yeah, this would be a little complex, because if a resident would prefer to have charter over the fiber, then they would be paying charter, and then the housing commission would not receive that revenue.
I think if we did that, we would say no. If you're gonna do internet, it's gonna have to be through the housing commission.
But how can you actually monitor that when they have a private account with charter?
Yeah, we can't force them to.
Well, yeah, we can't force them, but they'll be paying more, but for slower service.
And we will still be paying
But we're
for their apartment to have internet, even though they're not paying us for it, and they're paying charter for it. So I think this is, is a great price, and, the increases, they would not increase it for 5 years.
Right, there was no escalation in the contract at all. It's $30 a month for 5 years.
But they're not in Manistee yet, right? So do they have to get a franchise agreement with the city to come in and do all that sort of?
I don't know if they have to or not.
I would think they would have to have some kind of written
And would they
agreement
use
approval.
the current cable lines that are in the building?
Well, not if you're going fiber.
Yeah, they would just run them right up the races.
So they would run all lines to every apartment?
I think we need more information, and I think you have worked a lot on this project for the residents to not be very grateful for it.
If they're not interested, we just drop it.
For right now, I'd like to table it. I just think, let's get into next year and see if these fiber optic people are really coming here, and then that, we could address that later.
So we do
Well-
have Patrick here, who's a resident. I just wondered if he has if he's heard feedback from anybody about the whole issue.
No, I haven't, and I was one of the people that responded that I didn't want it because I've just been out of this stuff for a long time. So
I didn't hear the end of what you said.
I was one of
did
the
respond.
residents that responded that I didn't want it. I'm not an entity when it comes to that stuff. I just take what I get, and if I can't get it, I don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. And that could be how a lot of the other people
Yeah.
feel. Maybe they don't care.
Well, I can speak as somebody who's on the lower income level too. In the past, as people have said, I believe at these meetings, these rates tend to change. That sticks with people. and it creates mistrust. And a lot of people, I don't think, for the amount of money, which $30 does mean something to quite a few people, they don't want to take a chance at it for the entirely. So I'm just guessing on that.
Yeah, no, but good point.
Well, and there's another option. If this company comes in, then I think Charter is now in a position where they have to reevaluate themselves because they have competition. You know, if you're the only game in town, you can do what you want pretty much.
And
so.
that's what they do.
And, yeah, exactly. They raise their rates and, you take it or leave it kind of. But if we can get some other companies with internet, and especially now since almost everything is now a download, you don't really need cable TV. There's nothing that you couldn't get off of the internet. And high-speed internet kind of, and then you can just pick and choose, what programs you want, and I don't think any of them are more than $5 a month.
Well, and Lakeshore has their own entertainment package. It's basically a stream package. But, okay, let's move on. Because at 10 o'clock, we have some guests thrown up.
So Ginny made a motion to table that to the January meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we just table it. But
How about we table till we hear more about what Lakeshore is coming in with? And then just leave it up in the air, so to speak.
okay. I'm just disheartened. I thought we were doing something for the residents. And it turns out they really don't care.
Right.
So,
All right. I made a motion.
Mickey, second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business B, Resolution 2025-08, Healthcare Options for 2026.
So this is really, we have, because of Public Act 152, we have to select how we share the cost of healthcare with employees. So there's two options: hard caps, where we limit the amount that we will pay, or 80-20 option, where the employee is required to pay at least 20% of their.
Which one helps the employee most?
The hard caps do, because in our case, because the union is providing the health care even to non-bargaining folks, it's very reasonable because they have a big umbrella. They have a wide package and they offer cost less. I know that we analyzed it a few years ago. We couldn't come close to what they were offering, so.
So our office staff is under the union thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, in most cases, the costs are under the hard cap, right? So
Single.
the single is, and I think the double and the family is, they would have to pay a little bit, but not 20% if we did the hard caps. So it benefits the employees if we do the hard caps. And the other thing about going with the union program, because they have over the minimal amount of employees, if we went on our own policy, we would be individually rated. So it's by how many people in your family. The nice thing about the union plan is it's a single, a double, and a family, the old way. And you can't get that unless you have at least 50 employees, I think. So if we elected not to go with them, we'd go get a small plan from someplace and we would be individually rated, so it would cost a lot more. So,
I would move that we go with the hard cap option.
I'll second that.
which is our recommendation in the resolution too.
Right. So do I have to say that out loud? I move to accept Resolution 2025-08, Public Act 152, Health Insurance Contribution.
Yep, hard cap option.
Hard cap
Second.
option.
Yeah.
Hard cap option.
Yeah.
option section 3?
Yep,
Okay.
I'll second.
Roll call?
yep. Commissioner Samansky,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton,
Yes.
President Fosdick.
Yes. Okay, the DVG budget for 2026.
So it's pretty much the same as last year. We don't have a lot of expenses, although we did have 2 units that we did turn over in the last few months.
Turnover to
We renovated and
Rent.
re-rented, so everything's rented again.
Occupied.
Yes, everything's occupied again. We did do a complete renovation on
at,
the one property on Grove.
oh, okay.
We did do a complete renovation on that. It turned out beautiful. So, yeah, the budget is, real similar to last year.
Do we have to approve this budget, or
Yes.
Yes.
is that through resolution?
No.
Okay, do I have a motion? to
I'll
approve the
make that
budget?
motion that we approve the budget.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Reports and communications. Mark?
Yep, not a lot to report, except we're working on, issues at Century Terrace and Harbor View. And the budget is due by the end of the year. So at the next meeting, we really need to adopt the public housing budget. So I don't recall Finance Committee, and I think we've established those already, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
That's myself and Sue.
so hopefully before the next meeting, we did ask, I asked Ed Bradford, the city did a 3% cost of living for non-bargaining employees, so we're gonna try to have at least the personnel committee give us their input on that issue when we work that into the budget.
Okay, do we also have to have a CTHD
We do.
budget?
Yes.
I mean, we don't do anything, but,
Yeah, yeah, it's due.
Okay.
Lori's working on that one,
okay.
so.
Anything else?
Nope.
So I did receive the schedule, the annual reports to the city council. So the Housing Commission is scheduled to report on April 7th, Tuesday, April 7th.
Okay.
And then we did renew the snow removal contract for the 47 scattered site units with Lakeshore Property Solutions, Nick Fertier. We did renew the contract at the same price as last year.
That's good.
And then, yeah, I think that's mainly all I have.
Steve, can I back up for one thing? So executive search.
Oh,
Should touch on that.
yes.
Yeah.
So, that's been posted on their site. They extended the date to, I think, December 7th, but don't quote me on that. And I know they did some direct marketing because I received an email. I'm not going to apply, so
Yeah,
just so you know. But it did show up in some other email addresses that I have in the housing world, so I thought that was good. So anyway, it's out there. I think there was a link, and I don't know, it didn't work for me right away. You had to go into, if you go into the heading where it's posted, the little picture of it, you can click on it and it'll bring it up. So, but the link that he sent wouldn't get you there. You had to go to their actual website, and then, at least I had to, maybe not everybody did, but it's on there. So we should send that link out to everybody
Yeah,
if
so
you
we
wanted
can
to
look
see
at
it.
Sure.
They didn't ask us if we wanted to be the director. I didn't get it.
Oh, you should get it, you should get it. I mean, I think it was, your input was valuable. I think it was very well done, you know, the recruitment brochure. I mean, I think it, and I think they laid out all the issues that are in front of us and, you know, the potential. So I thought they did a pretty good job with it. Now, the next step will be,
To
there'll
get
be some
some,
responses, so.
Now, on average, how many responses do they anticipate to be reviewing?
He indicated, and I think promised, might be a better word, 5 to 10 qualified applicants. So,
And then that's after their screening?
yes.
Wow,
Yes.
okay.
So, we'll see.
To date, I think they have one.
I don't know, Steve. I don't know.
Someone asked about the financials.
Is that right?
Lori?
Yeah,
Oh, I did not know that, okay.
yeah, they wanted to know the property assets and the budgets.
So anyway, apologize for forgetting.
And that's actually a good sign when somebody's asking
Yeah.
for the
About the
finances, because that's
financials.
always the first thing I did.
Uh-huh.
You want to know what you're walking into, at least as best you can.
He's pretty convinced that there's somebody out there nationally that wants to come back to the area because of relationships that they'll.
we should have put my social media link on there, because I'm always showing what a great place it is to live.
We should.
Best beach in Michigan.
Yeah, best beach.
Which one?
Affordable housing. Affordable housing.
It's I mean, this is to me a highly, highly desirable.
The river.
Affordable housing everywhere.
And
Well,
the other thing I would just mention, did you see, and I think Steve told me in Petoskey, the new housing project, that they have like 500 people on the waiting list already?
Do they really?
To
Yeah,
get
that
in?
was, I think that was in M Live yesterday, or you should, if you have a chance, Google it, just Petoskey Housing Development. There was a good article.
They're building new housing, is that
Yeah,
what's going on?
yeah, I don't know that it's affordable. I think it was in the Crane's business report, and I couldn't open without a subscription,
Right.
but there was a short little article about it. I know it was Petoskey.
Look at it.
Well, also that Homeward or whatever has applied for $1 million.
Homestretch?
Yeah, Homestretch has
Yeah.
applied for $1 million grant through the Federal Home Administration to put housing up in by the Thompsonville International Airport.
Yeah. Crystal Mountain's probably behind that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Well, I'll circle back to another meeting, but I don't think there's any reason we couldn't start building some houses. Onesie, twosies, maybe a couple at a time. And I think Steve and I talked about it the other day. There's some builders that have some affordability models that we might be able to take a look at.
As opposed to these people that we're working with right now?
No, just in addition to what we're doing, Jenny, just to get more single-family
Oh, yeah.
homes, whether they're rentals or whether they're for sale. Or do we want to go to a lease purchase option? I mean,
That's one of the things they talked about last year at the conference.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it merits some discussion
Yeah.
down the road a little bit.
Well, you know, and Mark just let the cat out of the bag. I
Oh,
was
sorry,
going to, but
sorry, Steve.
I found a builder of modular homes that would put a home, a 928 square foot home, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, complete for under $200 a square foot.
Is it the Traverse City Company?
Nope. The guy is from Brighton, and his factory, if you want to call it a factory, is in Cadillac. When they roll the next one out here in the next week or two, he's invited me to come look at it.
Yeah, and I told Steve I would go.
Yeah.
It is just amazing what he's got.
Well, we started our Habitat home yesterday. The basement's up.
On Fifth Street?
Yeah,
On
the
my
basement's
old property?
Oh,
it's there.
It's a week
It took 4 hours to put the basement up.
Where at?
It's
Ben?
on the corner of Fifth and just short of Davis. Or is it not Davis? What street is Stu's on?
No.
Oh, you're down,
Ramsdale.
you're down in,
Ramsdale.
Maxwell Town, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, south, so you're south. Oh,
Yep.
Yes, so
That way.
my clients donated the house, and the land bank paid for the closing costs, and the land bank donated it to Habitat to build a home. The craziest, years ago, it was a triplex, and when I was Section 8, that was fully occupied, and it was livable, and it was great.
Yeah.
And then it went, and then finally, my clients said, there's no way we can save this thing. They thought they could, they're very dedicated community people, and they thought they could rehab it and make it a great place, and then it worked out for everybody. Is it gonna be a single family?
Yeah, it's our standard 1,100 square foot, 2-bath, 3-bedroom with a basement. Typically, we try to put a basement in a home in Michigan,
Yeah,
but no garage.
No.
We build homes for people, not cars.
yeah. But I hope, I'll talk to Vanessa. I hope when it's ready for ribbon cutting, the donors are invited, you know?
Sure. Now, this one is more traditional. The missing middle, the people were a little bit more sensitive.
Of what they got, yeah.
Mick, is it the prefab basement system that you guys use?
Yes,
down
yeah,
there?
superior walls.
Yeah.
Like I said, we were very happy with what they did on a murky road, and like I said, these guys know what they're doing.
the form stays with it for the R value, right? It's all
Yeah,
styrofoam.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's- yeah.
it's concrete on the outside, styrofoam, and then it's got aluminum racings. It's all already drilled to run conduit or pipe or whatever you want
But
to the walls.
it's not the forms that are insulated that you have to pour concrete in, right? This comes already poured, it's all done.
Done.
Yeah.
Once it's dropped in place, they lock it off, and it's a basement.
So, do you know how much those basements cost?
They were less than a poured basement. I don't have the exact figure.
Because, like, when I talk to people about building and specking, and most of the time, nobody's gonna build a basement anymore, because the basements are so expensive.
Yep.
It adds so much money to the construction cost, so it's amazing you can do that.
Well, Jenny, the other thing too is a normal poured wall, you would have to insulate it, so then you stud it and insulate it to meet the new energy code, so that adds a whole nother
Yeah.
level. And then do you leave just insulation showing, or then do you finish it, and you really need to kind of cover it? So this kind of takes that.
It already comes with R14.
Yeah.
And it's already studded, so if you want to put another R20 on top before you finish it off, you can.
That's awesome.
And then we always build one safety window so that the basement can then have another bedroom.
Yeah, have an egress window.
Oh, wow. You put an egress in too?
Yeah.
You guys are smart.
The one thing we always did when we were at Big Rapids, we did about 30 plus houses, whether we rehabbed or, but the new construction, we always put basements in, thinking of the long-term value to the community instead of just a slab on grade. I mean, then there's storage space for people, and it just mitigates some of those storage issues with folks. And then it's adaptable to grow too if you put an egress window in there.
Yeah.
I just think it's worth the extra money.
Yeah, and actually just putting in on grade is not cheap.
No.
That was the surprise. It really didn't cost us. It was maybe $4,000 or $5,000 over what it would cost to put it on a slab.
And it's called Superior Walls.
Superior walls.
Yeah, you're putting footings in anyway. You're
Yep.
just gonna dig them a little deeper and
Yep.
make walls.
That's good.
Yeah, getting back to,
Yep.
this, Apex, I think, Apex Construction that I'm talking about. He has offered, we'll give him a piece of land to come up and put a house on it. And if we want it, we say, okay. If we don't, we can walk away and he'll sell it.
Well, yeah, but it'd be on our land, so we couldn't sell it.
Oh, he wants us to give him
Yeah.
the land.
Yeah, well, certainly.
to have some kind of-
Certainly, worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Interesting, and, does he do a basement?
No, you'd have to have either, a
You'd have
crawl
to-
space or a basement.
Yeah, okay. Apex, is that what it is?
Yep.
But it can be put on a basement, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in fact, he recommends that you do not put them on a slab.
How many years has he been doing it?
3 years.
So he'll have a Google report.
In fact, one of them, she's Susan on the board of, Housing North. One of the board members had him put a house up on their lot in Traverse City.
Is there a buildings trade program at the school or at an ISD?
Only at Onekama. That's the only shop class there's, and they don't actually have a building trades.
They don't.
And we haven't had a building trades here in at least 10 years, maybe longer than that.
Longer than that.
So the ISD doesn't have a
No,
program?
they don't even have a shop class. They have 0.
And West Shore doesn't, West Shore has,
Mechanics?
West Shore
None.
has specific things like welding and different things like that, but not
Electrical and, yeah, I think apprentice in electrical and welding.
welding. Yeah, but unfortunately, I would say if you interviewed high school students that in the last 20 years, they would say the one thing they wish they would have had
A
was
shop
a
class.
shop class or an automotive class.
Trades.
Because it's some kind of trade, and even in high school, because they'll say, I don't know how to do anything.
Yep.
Did you see
Well,
the
there was
article?
a news report this morning that Ford came out and said that there's 5,000 openings for mechanics
Mechanics.
at their dealers around the country.
5,000 at $120,000.
a year.
They can't fill them.
Well, try to get your oil changed at the dealership. You know, you got a new car, so you want to go to the dealership. I used to call and I'd be in there the next day. Yeah, Jenny, maybe we can get you in 2 weeks. I'm like, what?
They don't like it.
No, they do like it.
Okay, committee reports. Finance committee did not have a meeting. Personnel
Personnel,
committee?
we are to be determined
Yeah,
meeting.
we did have to have a little quick meeting.
We're having one, so we'll have a report next month.
Okay. Commissioner reports. Jenny, do you have anything to say?
I have a couple questions. I like the stats we're looking at for vacancy compared to last month. You were right, it's rollover time. Is the 1701 Vine, is that the one we rehabbed?
That was built new about 20 almost less than 20 years ago.
No, but that wasn't the one that we invested the money
No.
and had the open house.
No, that's the stick-built modular that was built, I believe, in 2008.
Four-bedroom, I wondered if they were already moving.
Oh, wait a minute. Which one did you say, 17?
01
Oh,
Vine.
1701, sorry. I thought you said 1703. So 1701.
Remember, we had the nice open house?
That was 1717.
Okay, all right, just, I was like hoping they weren't leaving already. And 1703 Vine is gonna become vacant. And how's that? Is that, we must have gone through that. Is that gonna need rehab?
1703. It's in pretty good shape. That's the one that was built in 2008.
Oh,
So that is one that has new roof, new siding, is all in good shape.
oh, good. Yeah, so we have very minimal vacancy.
Yeah, scattered sites will be 100% occupied, including the DVG homes, within 2 weeks, other than this one vacancy that's coming up.
Home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And
We have
we are,
DVG
and
homes,
there's a
right?
ton of applications
Really?
rolling in for Century Terrace and Harborview. The last 2 weeks, we have a ton of applications rolling in. So these vacancies should not be hard to fill.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm concerned about is all the money we're spending on rehab is starting to reflect on our bottom line.
Yes, and the scattered sites for sure.
most of it is previous tenants tearing apartments up, busy
Well,
apartments.
and they were not
They
the
were not
units were not maintained for many years,
Well, I understand that, but we
with the
should
thought
have
that they were
moved
going to be
beyond that.
converted to rad and possible demolition. So since that did not happen,
You have to take care of them.
Yeah, I understand we have to take care of them, but are we putting the damages that the tenants are doing on their credit report?
so a lot of it is wear and tear, because the units were not maintained properly.
It's not necessarily
The tenant,
tenant dereliction, it's actually just old or worn out or whatever.
Or like in the one where you had leaks and things like that, that's really not the tenant's fault if you have.
yeah, the roof was leaking, the sewer lines were leaking.
But there are a couple that have tenant problems.
Yeah, so we are, if it's a tenant, if it was tenant neglect or damage, we do charge the tenant.
Okay, does it go on a credit report
As a
or we
practical-
just evict them and,
It would be on a judgment, Steve. That would show up at some point if we got a court. But we, as a practical matter, we don't submit it to the credit bureaus.
is there a reason for that?
Well, we are working with, Cindy works with I think it's Lakeshore Collections.
Right. But I don't think we post anything. We don't.
If there's a
post.
judgment.
If there's a judgment, then it goes.
Yeah, but then we'd have to pay for an attorney for each judgment, right? And court
Correct. So
costs.
if it's an actual eviction, we do request a money judgment.
Yeah, but if it's just somebody moving out and leaving it,
Yeah, we don't report that to the credit bureau, Steve. There, any balances.
But it does get reported to EIV, so if they apply for public
Yeah,
housing, it
so
would show up.
it-
Or any kind of housing, like
Well,
Section
I'm
8
just
or,
saying that I know that in the past, that someone will walk away from $1,000 damage thing,
Yeah.
and Frankenmuth would put it on their credit report. And it might be 10 years down the road, when they go to borrow money for a car or a house or whatever, and that red flag comes up, and we get a check back. But if it's a whole big rigmarole, maybe it's not worth it, but,
We would get a money judgment and then we go from there, once we get an actual court judgment. And then, I don't know if Lori's done it, but typically we would garnish income tax returns and different things. But you have to have a legal judgment to do those sorts of
Okay.
things.
yeah.
okay.
We haven't paid a collection bureau to try and collect our debts.
And then you only get 50% of whatever it
Right.
is anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't know what it is nowadays.
But realistically, a lot of times folks want to move back in, and we have that record, and a lot of times it'll get paid off, or in our case, if a landlord reference will come in and they'll say that we owe them, or if we do the same thing and there's a judgment from a landlord in another community, we want to know how you're going to take care of that debt. So it kind of goes both ways. So
Yeah.
sometimes it helps us and it helps other landlords. If that makes sense.
Okay, I'm sorry to butt in, Janine.
Yeah.
You got 2 questions, right?
No, I'm okay. I think that was it for me.
Mick?
No, I'm good.
And my thunder's already been stolen.
Yep.
But I do want to talk a little bit before 10 o'clock about the 2 developers we're going to be discussing today, and have maybe a couple questions that we will ask both the same question. So let's get through this, and so that we can get through the public comments and have 5-10 minutes to talk before we open it up to the developers.
Well, we're still at Sinair. We haven't,
well, and Commissioner Szymanski comments?
Receive
He
communications.
already said his.
Oh,
he
Yeah,
passed.
okay. So the site visit from Senior did go well. I did respond to the deficiencies that they did find. So I am working with Commonwealth on the maintenance garage, and the majority of the other deficiencies have been resolved. There's still a handful that that I'm reporting to Senior on, but it was a good site visit.
Does the garage part, does that mean like replacement of the garage, repair of the garage, or they're studying it?
So we are trying to figure out
I
which
think
avenue to go.
There's, that'll be discussed, Jenny, with the ownership level.
Is the demo already ready to go? I mean, are we ready to
No.
tear down the building yet?
No, I mean, we have proposals, we've submitted them,
And the board already approved it, subject to Commonwealth approval.
yeah. and
Right,
so
we,
that-
we did that a meeting ago.
But we haven't gotten anything to.
We're waiting for
to go.
approval.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'll be discussed soon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, anything else about the scenario? I was amazed that there was at least a half a dozen of those apartments that had bed bug infestations. I hope we had that under control.
Yes, so the main source was a long trial period. So once we actually received the eviction, we were able to tackle the problem better now. So a lot of it was the one source,
And the source is gone.
and the source is gone.
And you cannot.
So you'll see that going down dramatically.
You can't contain them when there's so much clutter, and so much debris in a unit. There's
And
just-
non-compliance
And it's
with
usually
the
both
treatment.
sides and up and
Yeah,
down.
I mean, it's,
that it impacts.
so the reality, what we did was necessary, very necessary. And
Yeah. I mean, I know it's hard for sometimes when the public hears one side of something about evictions, but I mean, it's not like you just do it casually. It's,
but it costs us tens of thousands of dollars to continually treat,
yeah,
to make no headway.
yeah. Well, it's good, we gotta get to the source.
Okay, we've already done the vacancy report,
Yep.
okay? Newsletters.
So we did do 100% inspections of the scattered site units, so those went well. Minimal work orders at this point in the game, so that's huge from 2.5 years ago.
Huge, yay.
I believe, like, where I asked residents to return the common deficiencies that should be reported to the office, we only received a few of these back. So we are working very closely with every resident that has any needed repair. We have replaced several stoves. So, yeah, we're in close communication with every resident, and any work that they inform us that is needed, we are making sure it's completed.
Do we get the stoves for free from utility companies, or do we have to buy those?
We have to purchase them. We do get a government rate.
Okay.
I believe it was around 400, between $400 and $500 for a range.
On the your management thing, I didn't know we had an exercise room.
We do, on the 5th floor.
Do you
Yeah.
need stuff? Because when I'm selling houses, exercise equipment, pool tables, and pianos are always left.
No, we're good. We have a nice treadmill. We
Okay.
could use actually a weight bench.
Okay.
We have
but-
weights, but no bench.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
But other
Miss-
than that, we have a bike, we have a treadmill, we have an exercise ball, and we have weights.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Century Terrace, right?
We don't have a TV in there,
Huh.
but it is up on, next time we have a meeting at Century Terrace, if you want, I can take you up there.
Love to see
So
it.
we just rekeyed the exercise room,
See
so
that.
now it does fit the exterior door key. We'll get you in the exercise room any time of the day that you'd like to go in there and work out.
Is there a hookup for a TV? If someone was to donate a television, is there a hookup for it?
I'm unsure, but I'm sure we could get a hookup if there's not.
No, as of this point in time, we are 100% dead bolts on everything, both at Century Terrace, Harborview, and scattered sites, right?
Correct. The residents are very happy about that.
Oh, good.
And then the security cameras have been installed also up on Holly, Court, Vine, and Park. We,
Lighting that I think it's this gentleman?
Yeah.
The lighting for the
Parking lot.
parking lots yet? We haven't
No.
got that far.
No, we have
Anything with
not.
consumers on that? Would they help us with that?
they would, if there's existing lighting, they would replace them with like LED bulbs, but I don't think they would actually give us additional lighting.
City's working on lighting right now. Maybe they could throw a pole in for us.
Yeah, for how much?
$40,000.
Yeah, we'll take two.
Yeah, we'll have to for,
Well, I think that is, I don't think the city's paying for that. I think consumers is doing it.
I don't know. I don't know. I think there is a grant involved, but I think we are still paying
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, and they're not cheap.
Well, let's ask our city council person, Wes Smith, on our side. No, it's Liz Lasky's is ours, right?
Right.
Let's ask Liz if she can get us a light pole.
Okay.
Can't hurt to ask.
Okay.
So also in the newsletter, we did inform all the residents of the utility allowance and the flat rent changes, which were adopted the last meeting. We do have 7 residents that are at the flat rent. So Evelyn is currently doing a full recertification with the new HOTMA rules. If you are over 120% of the area median income, then you do have 2 years to fall into compliance, or we do actually have to have the resident move.
Now, would that be considered an eviction, or how would that work?
So, yes, well, right now, we would let them know that they're currently above
Have a
the allowed.
date that-
And then we would continue to, like an annual recertification time. So then at least right now, they have 2 years to figure it
But
out.
if they go back below the limit, then the 2 years starts again.
Starts again, okay.
So that is, we do have 7 residents right now that are at the flat rent. So far, there's only possibly 1 that I know of that may be at that, but
I know in rural development, you could be above that limit, and you were always had like 1 foot out the door. Because if someone wanted an apartment that was below the limit, you had to leave and let that other person have that apartment. But outside of that, they didn't require you to vacate the apartment and have the apartment set vacant.
yeah, the way it used to be is as long as you were paying the flat rent, you could stay.
Or you qualified at move-in, you never had to leave.
Have to
Right, but
redo.
they're changing that with the HOTMA rules.
Well, yeah.
Because they are gearing it more towards people that actually need the subsidy.
Which is
And we
6 of
probably,
one, half dozen of another. You hate people have to move just because your life got better.
It's not exactly an incentive, is it?
No, no.
I got a $5 raise and now I got kicked out of my house.
Yeah, right.
The
well, you don't even need to go to $5, 50-cent raise, and all of a sudden you lose your Medicaid. And they wonder why there's so many low-income people. They can't afford to be middle income.
Yep.
The assistance animal policy is continuing to go through the comment period with the residents, so I will be bringing that to the board for
Okay.
adoption at a later date. But that has been provided to all Century Terrace, Harborview, and scattered site residents.
Anything else? The resident council meeting minutes, was there anything in there that we should be aware of? Sounds like they're having a little bit of problem being cohesive.
So they currently do not have a resident, a recreation director at Century Terrace. So Tammy Alkire stepped up, so she's doing it, I believe, through the holidays. And Jasmine and Charles, they're all team tagging it, so we are still continuing on. The only thing I was gonna mention is, last year, we did the holiday dinner for the residents. So if, you guys are interested in doing that again, we could do it after the December 18th meeting. And we could have Kentucky Fried Chicken again, the residents enjoyed that, and then between the resident council and the staff, we served. So if we did want to do that, we may want to propose moving the meeting to, instead of 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then immediately following the meeting, have the holiday luncheon.
I think that is a tremendous idea. Do we need a motion on that?
On the meeting time, to change the meeting.
And I know Tammy sent me a text that said something about they're having Thanksgiving and they've invited the commissioners to that,
November 22nd.
which is the Saturday before, well,
It's this Saturday.
it's 2 or 3 days from now.
Not like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's at 5 p.m. at Century Terrace. So, are you interested in changing the meeting time to 10 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. on December 18th?
Yes. I am.
What's that?
That's-
December 18th, move our meeting to 10 a.m. so that when we get done, we can go right into the luncheon with the residents. Does that have to be in the form of a motion? I don't
I
think
think
so.
it would be, you could, yeah, you just change it by motion, the meeting time. We'll post it.
Okay.
So is there a motion on the table?
Jimmy?
Oh, motion to change the time to 10 a.m. on December 18th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Where is it gonna be?
Century Terrace?
Terrace, okay.
And that's where the meal will be too then?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, public comments. Patrick, do you have any public comments?
Well, I guess all I'd like to say is, I do want the folks to know that I do care about things, and I am very appreciative and grateful for everything you guys do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for attending.
Okay, we've got a couple minutes now before we go into the Teams meeting with a couple developers, which is still open to the public. I just want to go over where we're at. One developer, Edison, what's Matt call his company?
Community partners.
Edison Community Partners has bowed out. They feel that the timing and the cost of doing what we want to do is going to make it somewhat, is going to make it a tough go. So that leaves us with MHT and with Edison Partners, Sinair Solutions.
Yep. Which,
It appears that the market for investment tax credits is getting pretty flooded right now. Is that correct, Mark?
Well, I don't know yet, but I know that one of the bills or legislation that was passed increased the amount of credits, I think, that are coming out. So we don't know. That's good. That would be a good question. What do you think? What do you anticipate the appetite for tax credits are in the next couple of years? That's a good question. I think another good question is, there's been some discussion about trying to preserve the existing scattered site units. How would you propose to bring those to meet the energy standards required because in a tax credit application, there's some standards that you have to meet. You have to certify that you're going to meet. I'm not sure that the amount of investment is realistic to make that happen, that you could find enough capital to do the renovations properly with 2x4 construction and some of the roofs and the insulation that would be required. Maybe you can, so maybe, and I think the other thing is, our thought process was demolition. If you have preservation in mind, how does that work? You know,
Well, isn't that kind of why the other ones dropped out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because they don't think it's realistic on all the avenues, right, money-wise.
Yeah, and strict new construction, you know, demolition, that you gotta have money for demolition, then you have to build. And so, and with cost today, there's a big gap between what the tax credit equity can fund and the final cost of the project. So where is that gap?
Now, on the demo, if we find a different location, and couldn't we then work with the land bank with the existing properties for demo and redevelopment?
Well, I think that's
I thought.
yeah.
Yeah,
That'll complicate things in a rad conversion and keeping some and separating the property, and that'll complicate, but I think it's all doable.
But it's the same thing, I was trying to figure out how are you gonna, the more dense insulation that would be required to get an R20 out of a 2x4 is $80 times 2. So $180 for a 4x8 is what it would take to get.
$80 times 2 is $160.
Yeah, 160, well, no, it's, yeah, 80 times 2. Because you need 4 inches of hard insulation
Right.
inside the 2x4, and they're $80 a sheet right now.
Well, so then you have to put it on the inside or the outside, right?
That would go on typically, I would assume it would go on the inside, unless you're gonna, and you could do both. I mean, when we build a Habitat home, we put 2 inches on the exterior before we put the siding
Yeah.
on, to give it.
1 minute.
So then, are you gonna re-drywall everything then? So that's a good question. Are you gonna re-drywall the
Well,
inside?
Exactly, or are they gonna use, maybe perhaps the foam, foam insulation
Spray
and
foam.
inject it,
Oh, yeah, Jim.
but.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions they'd like to have both developers ask or answer?
Yeah, mine was the one that he just, how, if you're going to renovate, what is the procedure, process to bring that up to code?
Who are we seeing first? Who's talking first?
Oh, let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and let them join.
Okay.
Renovate versus new?
I mean, is it realistic? Can we do it?
I don't think we can, but. Nobody's waiting for us?
You love it, Ryan, is it?
Hello?
I think, Laura, you gotta hit admit all over on the right-hand side. Right there, you're almost there. I don't even know how to do it, I did it.
Hello?
It's, Scenario.
Is our audio on?
Morning.
Good morning, can you hear us? Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Apparently not.
Well, mine shows muted on the screen.
Okay, Ryan just got his unmuted. Yeah, there we go.
You guys cannot hear us at all?
Can folks hear me?
We can hear you, you can't hear us.
So.
John looks like his is still muted.
Audio settings.
Hi, good morning. Can everyone hear us okay?
We can hear you. They can see you, Steve. Tell them, shake your head. We can hear you, but you can't hear us, can you? Wait, what's this?
Can you hear us?
How about the top microphone?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear us now?
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
we're having technical difficulties.
Good morning.
Problem. Good morning.
Could be a little louder.
A little, Lori, how about right there? Go all the way up.
Can you turn it up a little bit,
Yeah.
Lori?
There we go. Okay.
All right, can you guys speak a little bit again?
Yes, testing. Testing.
Yeah, we can hear you. You're not very loud, though. How about hitting that speakers, Lori, up there, up on the top where it says speaker? Would you like that one?
Okay.
All right, what about now?
Yeah, that's good. Can you hear us now, Ryan? They can't hear us when you do that, Lori.
Can you still hear us?
Yes, I can. It's a little soft.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to go ahead and start your presentation.
Is this a presentation thing or just a discussion?
Well, I think we asked them to answer a few questions, maybe about feasibility and what they think, what a project might look like, right, Ryan? Are you guys prepared to just talk about a project a little bit?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Why don't you guys take off? Go ahead and start. John, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, John?
Oh, he's doing something.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
Technology is a beautiful thing when it works.
All right, can you all see my screen?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay.
Can we take off
Great.
the audio
So-
stuff so we can see the screen better?
And let me know if you hear an
Okay.
echo. We're still trying to figure out some technical difficulties. But as you all know, we're Scenario Solutions. We're a Midwest regional developer. Have a presence in Wisconsin and Michigan, and then also we have a presence in Mid-Atlantic. I can go ahead and just dive right into the project team, and we'll do a little round of introductions. And I'll have Chris start us off.
Yep. Hey, so we're all together at a team retreat, or leadership retreat in Grand Rapids. So two cameras on the side or two laptops side by side, but I serve the team as president.
And good morning, everyone. Lily Gonzalez, Development Manager. Good to see everyone.
Hey there, I'm Cassandra Orez. I'm the Development Asset Manager.
And I'm John Cipriano. I worked to get the RFP submitted alongside this team here, and just happy to be back to talk a little bit more about our plan approach and next steps.
All right, and I've had the chance to meet some of you all before. Ryan Brand, Senior Development Analyst here with the team at Scenario Solutions, and I serve mainly support for our Michigan market. So we had the pleasure of visiting the units here this week with Lori. Thank you again for giving us that opportunity to walk the neighborhood and the site and just learn more about Manistee. With our project approach from what we received earlier this week, we're considering a full rehabilitation of the existing 47 units. Up here in this picture to the top right, that's actually one of your units off of 10th that was renovated. And, you know, John and I we instantly saw the vision of how, we could execute on this. I think it's in great shape. So we really just want to lean into the existing presence there. Right now, we're estimating costs of the full rehab at $110,000 per unit. And that's mainly due to weatherization and resilience upgrades for green energy, accessibility enhancements. And then also we may reconfigure some units to meet current demand. You mentioned that there's some larger bedrooms that are present that we can probably like break up. And then we also have slated in our budget, new community building and playground. There's some vacant lots that is nearby in the neighborhood that we could serve as like a great anchor for that community space. So a little bit to like the project approach, how we're kind of thinking about the capital stack, mainly two main sources, 9% low income tax credits. We can go about this two ways. Our current self-score that we're ranging is 96.5 to 101.5. That's depending on where that job score will fall, that job map that we will have. And then, yeah, we can go in with April 2026 round with our current timeline. That's for undesignated preservation, or we can go in for October 2027 round, which is our preferred option. That is because the preservation opportunity, usually those points score a little bit less, and it's a smaller pool that we're competing with. Then the other big factor in the capital stack, main factor in the capital stack is the affordable housing grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Indianapolis. We have like $1 million there, and they usually like to be the last source in we have slated for June 2027 for that.
Right, you can give them some context of, you gave numbers for scores, what do we think a winning score might be?
Sure. So from the self-scores from this previous round, we've seen ranges from the low end at 103 to 109. Again, those are self-scores. We will see what those come like in the next couple of weeks, how those actually transpired in the awards that were received.
In the preservation category, those fall to between 93 and 102. So there's more of an opportunity in the preservation category to score a little bit lower for more credits to make the project a little more financially feasible, which is why we outlined both of those pathways for us.
Yeah, well, so if we're going to the April 2026 round, that would be highly contingent on how that job map falls, if we can get those extra 4 points to boost our score. If not, again, the preferred would be going into October 2026, which is the preservation round, which we're well within range with our current self-score.
Ryan, can you, do you guys have in your self-score, a public housing RAD conversion, the points for that? And a PBRA, rental assistance, I didn't see.
Sorry, can you rephrase that question? Are you asking like how many points do we get for it being a RAD conversion?
Yeah, did you include that in your self-score analysis?
That's correct,
You
yes.
did, okay.
So here we have, again, back to a little bit of financials, just keeping that at a high level. We want to have most of the units at 40%, and then a couple of them are at levels, but we're maintaining the same amount of affordability for all residents. And then our utility lounges are taking into effect a blend of electric and gas utilities. Our DCR, we start out at 1.57, then through the life of year 15, we're at 1.1. And we're able to bring in a debt service of around 1.1 million. And then some levers that we can pull there in our modeling, we have not factored in a pilot or some form of tax abatement. There's points that come with that in our self-score, and it also helps out the operations of the building. That would obviously be a conversation that has to be had with the city of Manistee, but yeah, and we didn't want to account for that right then and there. So estimating we're paying full taxes. Our equity price is super conservative as well. We've gotten recent pricing around the mark of 78 to 77 cents, and right now we're estimating a 72 cents there. And then again, go ahead.
The long terms. as well could be a variable.
Yeah, and then the loan terms, right now, we have a 30-year amortization, 35-year term. We could possibly go for a 35 amortization or 40-year. Yeah, as we continue conversations with lenders, that obviously is subject to change, but what we're accounting for right now is on the conservative side.
I'm a little bit nervous.
So again, our capital stack is 1.1 million, first mortgage, LIHTC equity of 8.1 million. That is the total investment over the course of 10 years. And then AHP, we have slated at 1 million, which we feel confident about our score, considering where scores fell this previous round. And then we have a little bit of a deferred developer fee of around 417,000, which would be repaid out through year 14. So with that, next steps, obviously contingent on decision. We really want to dive into cost needs further. Obviously, me and John and I have had the chance to walk the site. But yeah, walking it, getting that real assessment in so we can tie in those hard costs. What would be needed would be super important. Test site for optimal community space. Both of those will start in January 2026. And then also simultaneously, contingent on decision, we can move forward with the RAD kickoff with Baker Tilly, starting to get our ducks in the row for that. And then resident and community engagement kickoff. As extensive as it is within the RAD conversion timeline, we would want to, once we have further direction from Baker Tilly, we would want to start that as soon as possible. Another conversation that we would want to get at least started early on would be city approvals and tax pilot assessment. We're not sure what the appetite is with the city of Manistee for something like that is. We definitely want to give it a chance and have thorough conversations and try to pitch what benefit to the community that could serve.
I think we're already on a pilot, right?
All of these items, the next steps would be, we could still move forward with the April application, moving forward on that. We would be further in the RAD conversion timeline if we were to go October 1st, 2026. But regardless, those first items in the chart we would move forward with, regardless of what direction of April or October. That is it for the numbers and our presentation. We will, open up the floor for questions now.
Well, number one, those scattered sites are already under a pilot program.
My apologies. Could you please repeat the question? There's
So
audio to
maybe talking here, Steve, though. John, Steve, the chair was just saying it. We already have a pilot arrangement, which is 10%. You hear that? It's an echo. Sorry about that. Did you hear that? Did you hear that response?
Where are we getting feedback? John, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, we did hear that. There's a pilot in place already through the current public housing. Is that how I'm going to understand it?
Correct.
And my guess, it would be reasonable to expect that the city would extend that pilot or reissue a new pilot for this
They'd have
project.
to do a new one.
But we'd have to do a new, so.
Yep, that's good to hear. We're happy to lead that process as well, just to kind of retake that off as we go through the city approval process.
Okay.
As soon as February, yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions. So what's your plan to get the green energy on that 2x4 construction, which is the majority of those 47 units, what, are you going to insulate from the exterior, the interior, or both?
Yeah, so I think after walking the site, and maybe Ryan can add some comment too, with Lori, it does look like there could be a lot of weatherization work, both through the crawl space and the exterior foundations, just to make sure those are as tight as possible. I think on this type of construction, that's going to be our strongest and easiest path to getting those really resilient for, you know, long winters, and also with the green policy that MISTA has put forth in this new QAP, which is more energy related. So keep tenant costs low through those resilience, and keep operating expenses low for heating and those things. So I think the weather resiliency and insulation is where we're going to start, and then any advancements from there, whether it be how we can recoup different incentives to make electricity ongoing cheaper, or different energy savings, we will pursue. But I think weatherization is going to be our strongest path there.
Also, is in your plan, are there going to be upgrades to toilets and things like the kitchen cabinets replaced or refurbished?
Yeah, so we're looking at a very deep rehab of the total unit. So we're looking at bathrooms, and then we're looking at, I think Lori mentioned that, the 4 bedrooms may no longer be in the market. We can reconfigure some units, add more space to living spaces or to bedrooms, redo and revamp bathrooms and kitchens, including countertops and cabinets, as well as flooring. So we're looking at a very deep rehab in unit. And then as well as some improvements to the elevation to get those, to beautify the units and to get those up to, a current, I think Lori paved the way just in that renovation that they did at the project we showed on the first slide, getting those improved. And we also looked at some of the porches that had some probably delayed maintenance and upkeep, that we can get those kind of back to their former glory and just get those kind of stabilized. I think there was some issues with the doors hitting the top of I forget what that's called, the terrace, I guess, or the porch cover. So just getting everything kind of deeply rehabbed and updated.
This is Lily. If I could just add, we would explore, low flow fixtures for the toilets, LED lighting. Can we look at windows and doors to minimize draft and heat transfer? I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that we would be able to look at, as well as what landscaping can we do on the exterior to beautify those, to beautify the units. Along with, the porches, that, those types of upgrades can go a long way as well.
Yeah.
There's also an opportunity that's factored into the budget to extend the accessibility for all the units, with the understanding that we're redoing the porches.
Okay. Now, my second question is, what is your plan to deal with the existing residents during this rehab?
Yeah, so we have some experience in tenant relocations, and I think that's a big part of the RAD program too, is putting together a very comprehensive tenant relocation plan that is hopefully temporary for most residents. We want them to come back to newly refurbished and beautiful units, and I think that's going to be, in this case, maybe a mixture of some of the other Housing Commission properties. Hopefully we can work with Lori and team to see if there's any units that are available there for temporary relocation, or work with local hotels to get folks moved temporarily as we turn individual units. I think that's where we would start. We would, in this case, be looking to bring in a RAD consultant, namely Baker Tilly, and they have experience in some of those relocation plans, as do we, and MISTA has some templates we can follow as well.
Now, just to point a note for you in case you haven't thought of it. We have extensively used Consumers Power and Detroit Edison with the low-income money that they have, and replace a lot of boilers,
Hot water.
refrigerators, hot water heaters. We might even be able to do a mini split out there and get rid of what's there and have it being done for 30-40% of its total cost with Consumers Energy and the federal government kicking in the rest. I don't know that you've thought of that, but there's some grant programs out there that would help us with this. One of my big concerns though is that most of those scattered sites have a 312 pitch roof. And it sounds like you're not going to change the pitch of that roof, right?
It wasn't in our current plans. We could potentially look at that, but as I understood it, when we went through the walkthrough, it seemed like those rolled modular units that were sort of fixed in the center. I'm not sure what would kind of go into pitching those in a different, way.
Because I think we've been,
The budget, I understand
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
concern with snow.
Yeah.
And just water.
because we've been extremely lucky that we haven't had a roof cave in yet. Because that's an
Yeah.
awful shallow slope for northern Michigan in the snow.
What, do you project a time to turn a unit for a relocation? I mean, do you, based on your experience, do you do unit by unit interiors, or do you do like a row at a time?
I think in previous experience, I think we could do either. I think what we'll do is roll units would probably be the best way because this is a scattered site, so we'd only have to move a few folks at a time through that rolling, rehabilitation. As soon as you kind of get one rolling, you can kind of get that circulation going, so hopefully folks can get back into their units in the quickest amount of time. It's hard to say exactly how long the in-unit those flips could take, just due to I think we'd have to kind of talk to a contractor to see how long we can get back those interior finishes, and I don't know if you have some experience in how quickly that can be
Yeah,
done,
I think so. So this is Chris talking. We just, the city of Madison, Wisconsin asked us to take over 2 challenge properties, not rad conversions, but had some additional subsidy. Heartland Housing out of Chicago went bankrupt, and we bought the properties out of receivership. We kind of focused on pods, so we would do 4 to 6 units at a time and roll those. We were surprised. We did some due diligence, but found bugs in the buildings, so it took us 2 to 3 months to eradicate the bugs before contractors would set on site. And then we were doing a pretty comprehensive gut rehab of some of the units. It would take us 2 to 3 weeks to turn each of those units. We didn't really have to deal with relocation issues because the building was mostly vacant at that point. I think to add a point to some of what John was saying, one of the things I found out through previous experience is protecting and securing residents' belongings is a big deal. So we likely would rent pods and take pictures of stuff that we moved to those pods and hire movers to facilitate that process for the residents to avoid disruption. Again, in my experience, most of the people going through that didn't have a lot of issues with it because they knew they'd be walking into a newly rehabbed unit afterwards. So they were willing to sacrifice a month or so, worth of limitations for what they get out of it.
So I refresh my memory. Do you have your own construction company?
We don't.
You would hire locals, or you bring in, do you bid it out, obviously bid it out, right, or something?
Yes and no. We've worked on the properties I talked about. We work with a core group of people that we've gotten great results with who could travel. If there's a preference for local participation, local employment, we'd certainly consider that. The construction manager, superintendent that we use, his name is Kaba. He's hired local folks in different areas, and he travels. He's traveled to Southwest Wisconsin to handle some things for us, and is looking at a potential development we work on together in Bloomington, Illinois.
Well, we have limited resources for builders up here, so.
Yeah,
So,
It's good, like, if people want to learn painting trades, for example, of having, you know, one or two guys, tagging along with this group to sort of learn the craft. If, you know, we're kind of intrigued, you know, housing is the core of what we do, but there are ancillary ways that we can support the community. If, you know, if there's a training program at the local high school, we'd be willing to make those connections.
There are also regional groups out of, you know, the Western Michigan, Grand Rapids area that we were looking at too, to kind of get that in-state participation as needed. We want to make that decision in partnership with the Housing Commission too, which is really important to us.
Steve, can I ask one question?
Sure.
So, gentlemen, we only have a couple more minutes, but could you just address, you provided rehab of the 47 units, a preservation deal. I think the Housing Commission was originally looking at demolition and rebuilding new. Have you done an analysis on that potential yet? Or is that really not feasible?
We did initially run a model where we were considering adding units to sites, or in certain cases we wanted to remove a unit, put a new unit in its place. I think right now we are, and this is a statewide issue, it's not really into any region, where we are struggling to figure out how new construction can fit in Michigan's new guidance, which is why we're heavily leaning on it and looking at the preservation of these units. We think that is probably our strongest strategy to get to an award, but it's certainly something we want to decide together in partnership with the Housing Commission. We wouldn't want to, if that truly is, you know, what everyone's looking for, the board is looking for, we'll definitely take a deeper dive into that.
And we'll have more insight to that as well. Once we finalize that cost needs assessment, we start to continue those conversations with our GC, whoever we select.
So just as a point of interest, have you done any new construction of either duplexes or single-family homes in the 1,000 square foot category, and what kind of costs have you been running? Because I know what it costs Habitat for Humanity, but not sure what it would cost you. If you have any examples of what we would expect if we were going to do a build from new.
We do it in other markets. In fact, our colleagues here right now from Wilmington, Delaware, I don't know how relevant it is. I mean, we were probably $350,000 a unit for, it was actually a triplex. We did a lot of rehab in a particular part of Wilmington, and then part of it we had a vacant land that had a liquor store on it that we took down and built a new building. But yeah, I was at, I'm a member of Urban Land Institute, which is like a trade organization for developers. So I was at a meeting in Detroit, and construction costs right now for larger homes that you're talking are in the $450 to $550 range. So my guess is you probably rent around $300,000 a unit for 1,000 square feet. And now you don't save that much on a duplex. You get some efficiencies, but you still have 3 sides, not 4.
We are under construction right now in Detroit on 3 townhome buildings with duplexes on the side. So it's a mixture of townhomes and duplexes. We are just right around that. It's about 310-ish thousand per unit on those. But Michigan too, I mean, with the guidance and the green, you add a lot of soft costs to these projects overall. And I think by the time that you get through all the soft costs, all the environmental, that again, not apples to oranges being Detroit, it was a pretty, the environmental mitigation was pretty extensive, which we don't, that's not comparable, I think, to these sites. But I think by the time it was all said and done, we're at around $450,000 all in, including, you know, to the total development costs. Again, savings, not apples to oranges, sort of being in Detroit, Southeast Michigan has escalated costs. But that is sort of why we are looking at the preservation option so closely.
And for Grand Rapids, we're seeing somewhere around 250 to 300K for 1,200 to 1,500 square foot. You know.
All right, we have people waiting at 10:30.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the time.
Have a good conference.
We'll be back in touch. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Are we ready to join the next one?
This fellow from,
Yeah.
from Atrix or Apex
Yeah.
said it was $100 per square for a house. I heard that it's
Yeah, I was gonna say Grand Rapids is probably cheaper than us to build.
Yeah, it's 3.
Good morning, Doug.
Minimum.
Good morning.
Have you talked to any?
Good morning.
Right.
Hi, Andy.
Good morning. How is everyone?
Good.
So what's your spiel?
What's our spiel?
Let's get right to it.
Let's get right to it. So it is a little hard to hear you from on the audio, but we'll do our best. So we have with me, I'm Doug Gordon, and then we also have why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm
Andy first.
Andy Martin with MHT. Work on our development side of things, so underwriting and applications and all of our projects through closing, all that kind of stuff.
Good morning, I'm Joy Flood. We met at my last visit. I'm with MHT and I work with the public housing and federal program relations.
So we were able to come out and tour some of the properties recently, and thank you, Lori, for coordinating that. Appreciate that. Gave us some good insight into the conditions of the properties. We have basically a short presentation, and then I didn't want to make it too long, so I know this is only 30 minutes, and then to provide time for questions. So I'll just go ahead and pull up the presentation. Let me just share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, right now it's just a
All right.
picture of a lake with the moon or the sun.
It's where we should be.
Yeah.
With a very bright sun.
Yeah, that's how we want this to look when we're done here, is this serene view.
So, you have 47 scarce site housing, public housing units, as you know for sure, and you have a nice collection,
Doug, we can't see your
see the
presentation.
You
We see
can't
your
see-
presentation. No.
Oh,
No.
all right, well, let's see, let me try sharing again. Can you see my screen now?
We see your
We see
calendar.
your calendar,
You see my
right?
calendar? Okay, that's a good start.
There we go,
Here's
public
the-
housing.
Here's the presentation. So,
Okay.
you have a nice collection of scarce houses on Holly and Park and Vine Street. That's where we pretty much were able to view properties. In terms of the goals you guys have conveyed to us so far through the RFP, the first goal was to deal with the 47 through RAD, renovations and or demolition. And from the site visits that we've participated in our last interview, it was clear that you were more interested in demolishing the majority of the scarce site houses. There were about 10 that we're aware of that you have indicated would be preserved. And then you also wanted to develop up to 48 additional 2 and 3 bedroom housing units, and it's our understanding that you're looking more at a townhome style as opposed to an elevator structure. So that's kind of how we approached preparing for today's call, was on those two goals and some of the information we picked up during the site visits. So in terms of dealing with the scarce site housing, one option you have available to you is to submit an application for Section 18 demolition and disposition. Obviously, we need to, make sure we've identified all units that are viable and unviable. We, for example, saw 343 10th Street and 1703 Vine were not too bad. And many others, are beyond their useful life. We've looked at a couple properties on Holly and Park and Vine, and those were clearly beyond useful life, and would be good candidates for a demolition or disposition of those units. So the units that are viable for continued leasing could be retained as public housing. You could sell them either on the open market to your nonprofit affiliate at the PHA, or as we've indicated in our proposal, MHC Housing Inc. would also be interested in purchasing some of the viable units. And that could be at or below the fair market value. If you go below fair market value, you have to show HUD that there's a commensurate public benefit for the below fair market sale. So if you were to keep it at affordable rental, then that would be commensurate public benefit. So that's how you would ensure, long-term affordability coming from these viable units that you have in your portfolio. For those units that are not viable, those would be selected for demolition. If you rebuild on the site after you demolish the units, the development transaction would incorporate the demolition costs. If you choose to develop on a new site, then you'd have to come up with a revenue stream for the demolition that includes environmental. So you'd have to be able, and I think one of the commissioners indicated that the land bank is active and it may be a source of funds for demolition of those properties. Certainly that could be discussed further. Of course, all units would need environmental, and there would be resident meetings prior to taking any action. So make sure that everyone's aware of their rights, everyone's aware of the options that they would have available. And one of those options is a tenant protection voucher. So if there'd be a 1-for-1 replacement tenant protection voucher that HUD would provide after you've gotten approval from HUD to demolish or dispose of the units. So those folks who obtain the tenant protection voucher could either stay in place if it was for sale that retained rental occupancy, or they could choose to move. And because you don't have a voucher program yourselves, you would need to partner with another public housing agency to administer the tenant protection vouchers. And some PHAs around you would be Boyne City, Traverse City, or Mishta. So you have a few options to engage with a few different potential partners for the tenant protection vouchers. So some of the benefits of demolition and disposition strategy is first that relocation is facilitated by the award of the TPVs, and you would still have to have a relocation plan that you would present as part of your application for HUD Section 18 demo dispo process. It provides continued access to affordable housing to all existing tenants through those tenant protection vouchers. If you were to sell properties, that would be a potential, source of revenue for the Housing Commission. And importantly, it frees up fair cloth that can be transferred to new units constructed under HUD's RAD Restore and Rebuild program. So let me go a little bit into what Restore, Rebuild, and this fair cloth, what that's all about. So essentially, HUD said to all PHAs that the number of units that they had under contract with HUD as of October 1, 99 would be their maximum amount of public housing assistance that they could provide under that contract. So if a PHA had 100 units and they demolished 10 of the, or sold 10 of those units, if that happened after October 1, 99, they would be able to rebuild those 10 units as public housing. So it allows you to continue to retain an authority to provide public housing. So if you were to dispose of these 47 units through demolition or disposition, you would free up those 47 units as fair cloth authority. So basically with Restore Rebuild, it allows you to transfer or apply that public housing fair cloth authority to newly constructed or existing units in the community. The new housing that is built would have to be built in accordance with HUD's mixed finance development process. And after construction, it would be immediately converted under RAD. So it would not continue as public housing. It would be on a Section 8 platform like Project-Based Rental Assistance or PBRA, or if you chose Project-Based Vouchers, PBV. And that's really the pathway we're presenting to you here would be to go through and apply that fair cloth authority to a set of newly constructed units, which Andy will talk about in a minute. So again, just some of the things about the restore, rebuild option is that new units are constructed either on a new site or at the site that the public housing already sits on after demolition.
Now, Doug, I want to interrupt you here for just a second.
Yeah, yep.
I know we talked about this a little bit when you were up here the last time.
Yeah.
If we built 48 new units, I'm making the assumption we would get 48 PBRAs. But
Well,
if we,
go ahead.
but if we, at the same time, or shortly thereafter, we demo the 47 old units, those tenants would get tenant protection vouchers.
Yeah, in that scenario, you're selected a site to build new on that's not the existing site. Those residents would be protected with tenant protection vouchers.
Okay, now what I'm thinking here, or what I'm trying to do, is double dip. I've got 48 new PBRAs. Do I also get to keep the 47 tenant protection vouchers too?
Those tenant protection vouchers would be managed by another housing agency, and they would not be available for any other purpose than for those residents of the existing housing.
That makes sense.
So you're saying I can't double dip?
Right.
No, you can't double dip. No. I mean, you are kind of double dipping because you're keeping affordable housing options available to the 47 tenants, so they're getting affordable housing avenue for them, and then you're transferring the public housing fair cloth amount to this new development. So you are in a way kind of double dipping, but you don't retain control of the tenant protection vouchers. So there's no that's not something that you would control following issuance of those TBVs.
And the only way that it would help us is that if we did the 48, got the PBRA, filled it, build 47 new ones on the old site, and then let those tenants that had the tenant protection vouchers come back. But it would be their choice, not ours.
Yeah, so the tenants would not have a first right of refusal on the new build. I mean, they could apply and they could be on the wait list. They could seek to live there, but they wouldn't have the right of first refusal for entering the new development because they would have been relocated via the tenant protection vouchers. So there's not a guaranteed right that they could occupy. Obviously, like I said, they can apply, but it's not a guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah, they could definitely move in and you'd get that voucher rent, but it wouldn't be a consistent rent, right? If the resident moved, they'd take it with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if I've already got a PBRA property, I wouldn't want tenant protection vouchers in that property because I already got the subsidy.
Right.
Right, they would have to relinquish their voucher to move into the new development.
And that would be silly for us to tell them to do that.
Yeah, really, it's the tenant's choice, and they have to weigh the flexibilities that the tenant protection voucher offers them in terms of where the flexibility to be able to move wherever they want, to the idea of really having a in-place subsidy at another building like they were previously. That's really up to them. But there are advantages to both. I mean, they would be moving into a brand new development and have the amenities of a new development, which may be nice. And I'm not overly familiar with the the market in Manistee or near in terms of the quantity and quality of housing that could be sought with the tenant protection vouchers. But that would be a choice that the tenant would have to consider, the options.
Currently, those options are very limited in Manistee.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
The options are pretty limited for rentals right now in Manistee.
Okay.
Yeah, so where you might have an option, and we can talk through this a little bit further too when we get into some of the potential new development, but would be if you build something new that wasn't completely a PBRA, right? Like maybe it's half of it or maybe it's 2/3 of it PBRA assisted, and then, you know, tenant protection vouchers could occupy those others that were not PBRA units. So it's just another options of considering as well.
Okay. Go ahead, Doug. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit quite a bit about what's on this slide. I mean, the most important thing is your subsidy form. You can choose between PBRA and PBV, and from what I take from the meetings we've had before, you lean towards PBRA. So that's definitely an option for the development after construction. So then now we'll talk about, you know, kind of a scenario that we put together surrounding the newly constructed units, and I'll pass it over to Andy Martin for him to discuss.
Sure. So, yeah, to give a little bit of overview, we looked at a lot of different things here, and we've done a ton of, from MHT side, you guys no doubt know about our development history and experience, but we've done a ton of different 9% tax credit transactions, a ton of different 4% tax credit transactions, several combining both 4% and 9%, which gets highly technical, but we've done those. And so we tried to look at all the different things as far as the rent levels we knew we could get here, or estimated rents, I should say. We don't know exactly what we get, but estimated rents and scoring from the MSHDA criteria. So we thought about an initial proposal right now that we feel pretty confident could be competitive on if we were to demolish some of the existing units that were there, which it sounds like was desired. So therefore, you all would already own the site, and we could repurpose it. And we did give it run it through the MSHDA scoring model, and think we could reasonably fit potentially up to 36 2 and 3 bedroom townhomes on that site, which would then, you know, try to accomplish both purposes in that location, repurposing it, hitting the 2 and 3 bedroom townhome style you wanted. We looked at you know, based on the structure and the rural location, a 90-10 blend with the RAD PBRA. We underwrote with expenses that are comparable to our overall portfolio right now, assuming a tax abatement of 4%. So a 4% pilot from the city of Manistee, which is pretty consistent with what we've worked through in other locations. We'd obviously have to work with the city on that. Acquisition costs are, you know, we're assuming limited here or none, but we could also, if the Housing Commission wanted to look at it from the perspective of putting like a seller note in there to help, and then would get those proceeds back when the project, you know, refinanced or re-syndicates at a future date, those kinds of things. And then we also have a developer fee in here of, you know, which you all would participate in with us in a, you know, 49-51 split and that kind of thing. So proceeds in here that we're really comfortable we could build this on this site. That then you'll notice though leaves, if it were 36 units, that leaves some remaining Faircloth authority to do another development somewhere locally. And so that kind of spins back to the conversation we were talking about earlier, right? As we know that this here is 36, we could build it, but maybe it's, you know, we do 36, but only a portion of it ends up being PBRA, and we can do a critical mass of PBRA on a different site to end up with 2 developments. We looked at different, you know, just briefly different locations around Manistee to figure out kind of what we thought they could score, and we think there's a lot of opportunity there as well. We just knew that this one here would be a good way to maybe start by repurposing the site. We would obviously have to manage some of the relocation and things that would be needed for existing residents to make sure they're appropriately managed if we have to demolish units and that kind of thing. So we'd need to work through the mechanics of that. But we feel pretty confident that this is a project that we could get get competitive, get funded at a 9% transaction. So that's how we arrived at the 36 units to get some like positive momentum here to then kind of roll into a second potential phase from there. That's super high level. I can go, nuts and bolts as detailed as you want with questions, but I didn't want to jump too deeply into it just yet.
Did you study the properties at all for rehabilitation?
So we assumed based on the visit that was had that potentially 10 of them could be rehabbed. We did not look at, and that was just based on Doug. You can jump in if you want, but based on the conversations that were had, we haven't gone fully in depth on how much could they be preserved just yet, but that is certainly something we would look at closer as we got deeper into this, because that's always sort of our first option, is to see can we preserve it first before we decide to demolish anything.
Yeah, and it would not be a problem to try to estimate, the per unit renovation budget for the existing scarce site homes. We kind of tried to lean into what has been communicated about the age, the obsolescence of the units, and the desire for a higher quality product. So that's why we came with this strategy, but we could certainly pivot and look to establish a pro forma for the rehabilitation of the units. Obviously, there have been some units that you guys have restored that are I think, I can't remember the name of the street.
10th.
But we saw one unit that was in the neighborhood that looked fairly decent, had some recent updates to it, and could definitely be salvageable. That's why I say in the beginning of the presentation to really assess the viability of each of the units, to see which ones and to what extent rehab costs what would be needing to come to bear to make them long-term habitable for the foreseeable future. But we could certainly come back to you with another pro forma that addresses rehab. And then if you were to rehab the units, you would go through, you would do that in conjunction with the RAD program, and you would do 90% would be PBRA and 10% would be straight RAD. You get a blended rent level, and it is that is a viable option. Just depends on, would need more research on the needs of all of the units to bring them up to quality housing standards. But certainly something we could
Absolutely.
We could research.
We could walk those units easily with our construction team and get to that conclusion if needed.
I think it would be helpful to have both because we just don't know what the environment is going to be as far as funding, and being able to have a couple of options certainly would help.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's certainly not a problem.
Yep.
So that's all that we had to present, and so we're open for any questions you have, any further discussion.
And as I mentioned on the pro forma, this was just an initial look at what we think we're pretty confident we could get built there. It was balancing the competitive need versus, what you all were kind of looking for, but we definitely, we can make any sort of mix and match here that sort of threads the needle between the MSHDA requirements for tax credits and all that stuff, even if it's, trying to bring in a combined 4 and 9 and do a little more or whatever. We just knew that this was one we could execute for sure.
And what kind of a time frame?
So what we'd be looking at is the construction itself, by time you factor demo and all that in there potentially, if it was this site, we'd probably be looking at like an 18-month all-in construction. If it was a different site with no demo, you'd probably save, cut off a couple of months of that time. If we were to be able to get started today, we would probably be looking at, it's a 9%, what's today, November 20th? I was just looking at the date. So a 9% round to Mishta, we'd be looking at realistically, you know, we would try to get, if we could, to an April submission, but I'm guessing that's going to be tight by the time we get through planning and all that stuff. So it might most likely be an October submission for them next year with a closing, you know, in the spring thereafter probably. And then, you know, completion from there just over a year. So it'd be spring, summer of 27 probably is where we'd look at an opening.
And your, I saw in your notes, 260K per unit. What's estimated square footage of those units? It'd be 1,000 square foot?
Yeah,
larger?
so for the 3 beds, we were at about 1,000 square foot. The 2 beds are about 850, which are based on, you know, ones we've done in the past that we've seen be lease up quite quickly at that size, and it lines with the Mishta standards too.
So that would be green energy, all of the other factors would be built into
Correct.
260K?
Yep, that's right. We would work to figure out what makes most sense, whether it's enterprise or NGBS or LEED. What we've been mostly using is NGBS since it seems to be a little bit easier to implement.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ginny?
No,
Art? Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
ought to absorb.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, announcements and upcoming meetings. The only thing there is our December meeting is the 18th, right? At 10 a.m., Century Terrace.
Sleeping in.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that,
Wait a minute, I want to know why we had 2 completely different presentations here. Completely different presentations.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's only to confuse the,
No, but I mean,
I know.
I'm like, I don't know. We need to talk to them again because they don't even correlate. I mean, one is nice, the other's nice, but they're not this.
Well, we didn't get to apples and apples. So we're.
Was that us? Was that our fault?
I think some of it is our fault.
Our fault. We kind of.
And some of it's what the market is right now too. What's
No.
realistic.
Yeah, and I understand that completely from Sinair. I mean, and that's why the other guys dropped out because the market, right? It's,
Yes.
yeah, and so, but I'm like,
But it's interesting though that they thought that their method to pulling off new construction was as viable as Sinair. But again, we're talking about 110K per unit versus 260K per unit.
Right.
So
and not including
for
demolition costs.
$150,000 each unit, that's a lot to be able to sell to Mishta and or other.
well, the other thing that didn't correlate with me was with Sinair's proposal. It was 110 per unit, but it was a $10 million project. That's a lot of soft costs. I mean, you're talking less than $5 million in construction costs, but it's a $10 million project.
I think, but then you have all the other infrastructure and other costs that you gotta add in there too.
Yeah.
I think that was a question we need to ask. Is that just construction cost per unit? And then does that include, I don't think it includes soft costs and I don't think it includes site costs too.
Well, I just saw in their pro forma, they had, you know, $110,000 per unit for rehab, but the project cost down below was 10 million some odd.
10,763.
Right.
Which,
There's a lot of soft costs. And
Yeah, I don't.
Well, $1.7 million was
That's
investment costs, right?
Developer, there's
Develop-
developer
That was
fees.
on MHT.
That was MHT.
Right.
Was developer
Fees.
fee.
My guess is the other would be is about the
Yeah.
same. I'm pretty sure.
I think the maximum is 1.5, but I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. But now we got to hear from,
Can we adjourn and then maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, let's,
Make a motion, we adjourn?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
So, okay, so let's see here.